guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's basically part 2 of refinishing the front passenger door that I got for project 1 ton. The last video we welded in some pieces on the back roll form edge here, did some fiberglass work along the top edge here, got it into epoxy and regular primer, and now it's time to block out this guide coat and discover all the imperfections that still exist. I've got 220 grit on the 16 and the 11, as well as on the round block. So usually the bigger blocks for these, bigger, more flatter areas, and the round block like this inside this radius here and here for sure, and anywhere else that it might fit. And basically going to do the same thing as any other type of blocking, working in a crisscross type X pattern and working down the piece as you go to keep everything flat. Now, I've just got started and I want to show you this quick before I carry on. The guide coat here has been sanded back. You can see all the 80 grit scratches from the previous rough sanding. The idea here is to sand this down and remove all these scratches that are being shown by the guide coat. So I've stopped to show you what I've got going on here, guys. Got basically this lower section all blocked, and there's some spots here, and there's a low spot here. This isn't too bad along here, but there's a low spot here and a major low spot there. I blocked this down to the point where I'm into the filler here and here, and now I don't want to go any further. I want to keep this bottom edge that I exposed sealed inside of that fiberglass filler. So these areas need to be topped up with some finishing filler. Now, and getting up to around the area around the door handle, and this is the point where you may want to or maybe not want to remove factory body lines, and I'm going to show you an example here on the 4th gen. Sorry about the background noise, but around these door handles, since this is stamped on a press with a die, there are actually 4 dimples, one in each of these corners, where it actually, like I say, is a dimple. The material, the door shell, actually tips in each of them corners. Now that the first block sanding is complete and the piece is wiped off with a cloth and compressed air, you can mix up some finishing filler and hit all these low areas that the guide coat showed us, and also fill in some of these minor dents that also weren't found in the first sand, because the orange peel was so thick on this door. I had to sand it and I had to prime it and block it just to expose these areas. Now I've got a bunch of 2K finishing filler applied here. This is the stuff I'm using. Evercoat, Polyflex, glazing putty. It's a 2K product. It requires a hardener. And all I can recommend is that you mix up what you need and get it applied to where you want it. Because where I live, 30-ounce container of this is going to set you back close to $100. So yeah, mix it up, get it on there, and only mix it in small amounts because you certainly don't want to waste it. With the piece all blocked down with 220, little bits of imperfections adjusted. Once the wind goes down, get the second run of primer put down. Panels all wiped off with wax and grease remover. Got some primer in the gun. Same gun as the last video. The Cosmic LVLP. And you hit all these areas with a coat and then give everything a full wet coat. Second run of primer applied, and in this run I added a bit of base coat reducer to the primer. What that does is allows the primer to flow out, and it reduces the amount of orange peel that's needed to be sanded out, because the surface should now be flat. Okay, we're basically filling in those 220 scratches and sanding it back and getting it ready for paint. So I'm going to apply a guide coat, second run primer on the outside side, and a guide coat now on the in-between. Flip this back over, sanded it all, the back side, all this area down with 320 or red Scotch-Brite. Cleaned that all up. Applied a seam sealer along here where I did the repair. Any cut through areas, I sprayed some Transtar aerosol 2 and 1, and shot some base and clear. So the back of the door is finished. Looks pretty decent. Time to get it out in the driveway on the stand, good side up, start blocking it down. Apologize for the background noise. They're cutting asphalt open out on the road. Anyway, bucket of clean water, clean cloth, dual density block, Durablock, 600 wet paper. I'm going with a 600 because I'm hoping not to have to apply a sealer and just go right over top of this gray primer. If the old finish was on here and I'd only done some spot repairs, sanded it with 400, I'd definitely put a sealer down. So that's something that may or may not be required for this door at this time. Alright, so once again, I'm going to be sanding in a crisscross or X pattern all the way down to the door section. Just taking off the guide coat and getting the piece nice and smooth, ready for paint. and finding the last of those little imperfections. Now I'm going to show you what I've got here real quick before I carry on. This is all sanded nice and smooth, paint ready. A couple of minor imperfections there and there. And I wanted to show you this as well. When you're sanding out to the edge, the sanding block naturally wants to kind of tip over the edge, and it's going to want to try to cut away this little edge along here a little faster than over here. So when you get out to the edge, just be careful, keep that block going, and just take off what you need. Now, part's all sanded, 600 wet, washed with some clean water and wiped down with a clean cloth. It's time to address all these little imperfections that have shown up, little tiny little pinholes with some red glazing putty. Alright, so red glaze applied, it's dry, ready to be sanded. Do the same thing, wet sand that with 600, and then any of these areas here, a little body filler showing, a little bit of metal showing, get some Transtar 2-on-1 on those spots, and should be getting close to being paint ready. Okay, sanded all that back. I put a little relief of tape around the edge here. You can see, sprayed a little aerosol here and there. The tape here was to protect the already painted underside. I'll be taking this off, scuffing it with some Scotch-Brite on the aerosol areas, retaping the entire border with masking tape, so that I put my base down and then I take all this off and then do the clear. Now, looks like everything's ready to go. I got the perimeter taped. I got the door handle opening all taped in. Just waiting for the sun to move into the western sky a little bit more. I have a tiny bit of shade or sun right there. It needs to be shaded in. The panel isn't too warm. I think we'll be getting away with some medium reducer and medium clear coat activator. Now it appears the boys over there have shut down for today. Nothing like killing the overtime on a Saturday. And yeah, so get some base and clear laid down here in just a little bit. Everything's been wiped down with wax and grease remover, tacked it off with the tack cloth. I got a base coat in the Iwata bell area, full fluid, full fan, 25 psi. First thing I'm going to hit is all the perimeter edges and then move to the top side. Now, my umbrella, which I'm using for shade, is a little bit in the way, so I'm just gonna have to work around it. Okay, I gotta shut you guys off. Sorry about that, guys. I couldn't camera and hold the hose and stuff all at the same time. Yeah, first coat down. Almost actually have full coverage in a single coat. So probably just a second coat's all that's going to be needed. I think that's a bit of a mistake I made with the truck as a whole. This TranStar gray seems to be covering really, really well. Now, that's 2 coats of base. It appears that I've gotten coverage. It looks like there's a possible dry spot here, and there's some lint spot there, and there's another one down there. Have a tiny bit of paint left in the gun. Now I mixed up 5 ounces of base, so 5 ounces of base, 5 ounces of reducer, 10 ounces total, in case anybody wanted to know. And yeah, I've top coated this entire door with base. Giving this a final tack off with the tack cloth. You can see, even painting outside, the overspray dust still exists. Gave the door a final tacking. Now, the drawbacks to painting outside is extra dust and small flies seem to be a big issue. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to clear the edge first and then hit the top. Now move the umbrella back just a little bit. I don't know, this camera changes from in the garage to out here, so hopefully you get a good shot. Once again, got to put you down, hose is in the way. Alright, first coat of clear is down. Looks pretty good. This is going to take no time, and it will be ready for the second coat. Matter of fact, feels like it's ready. So here's the second coat. Literally just laid it down, and it's flowing out quite nice. Yes, I've had a couple small flies land in it, but overall I think it's gonna pass. I'll let this cure up for a little while and get it back in the garage later tonight, but after it cures up a bit, I'll give you guys another look at it out in the sunshine. Alright, so there you have it, guys, out in the sun. It's touch dry, tack free, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, there's some imperfections. There's a little something going on here. Don't know what that even is. Turned out real nice. So happy with how things look. Maybe this video helps somebody out with their project. Till the next one, guys, as always, peace.